Okay, I'm going to start part 3 with, this is, I believe, page 4, example 3b. And we're doing transformations of the e to the x function. Okay, and example 3b is e to the negative x plus 3. Okay, and so we have a negative that's in the exponent with the x. So if you go back and look, that's going to be a reflection over the y-axis. And then we have this plus 3 outside, which is the k. If you go back and look at the model that we wrote, or the pattern that we wrote, and that means that the whole graph is going to go up 3 units. Okay, so we got to reflect it over the y-axis and move it up 3 units. Okay, so if we take 0, 1, since that is the y-axis, it's going to stay on the y-axis, but it's going to move up 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then we had 1, and then 2.7 was right here. So if we reflect it over the y-axis, it'll be here, and we will move up 3. 1, 2, 3. So it'll be about right there. Okay, and then we had 2, 7.3. I can't really see my points. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.3. It would reflect over here, but then we got to move it up 3. 1, 2. So that would be about right there. It's going to go off just a little bit. Okay, and now one other thing you got to keep in mind is that the x-axis was the asymptote. Well, the asymptote is going to move up 3 also. So the asymptote is now going to be right here at y equals 3. Okay, so if we draw this, kind of rough, but there is the e to the x, which is the blue. So the blue is f of x equals e to the x. Okay, and then the red has been flipped over the y-axis, which is the negative up here, and moved up 3 units. Okay. Okay, now we're going to do example 3C, which is on the next page. Alright, so example 3C is c of x equals 1/2 e to the x. And let me go back just a second, because I think, yeah, this one should have been b of x right here. B of x equals. Okay. So I'll make sure I get that on there. Okay, so this one only has one transformation, and this is a multiplier out front, which would be an a if you go back and look at the all the different kinds of transformations, and it is less than 1, or it's between 0 and 1, so that means it's going to be a vertical stretch by a factor of 1/2. So that means that all of our original y values are going to be cut in half. Okay? So, our original y-intercept was 0, 1. Well, if we're going to cut the y in half, it'll now be 0, 1 half. Then when x is 1, y was approximately 2.7. So that would be, half of that would be 1.35. So right in there. And a vertical compression should make it wider, so it looks like that's where we're headed. Okay, and then when x is 2, y was about 7.3. And half of that would be 3.65. So about right there. Alright, so this one, it did widen just a little. Okay, so there is half of e to the x. Now, I also want to go back to the previous. We need to talk about what the differences were. And the domain, range, and all those original things. So if we look, the domain, it stays the same. In the original, it was all real numbers, and here it's still all real numbers. The range was from 0 to infinity. That has definitely changed, because now our range is from 3 to infinity, not including 3. Okay, we still don't have any x-intercepts. Our y-intercept moved up 3, so our y-intercept is now 0, 4. Okay, this is back to the one example 3b, because I forgot to do this. All right, then asymptote. The asymptote did change. It moved up 3, so instead of y equals 0, the asymptote is y equals 3. All right, then in behavior, it changed. Your in behavior, as x is getting smaller and smaller, y is getting larger and larger. So the limit of b of x as x approaches negative infinity is positive infinity. And then as x is getting larger and larger, y is approaching 0. So the limit of b of x as x approaches positive infinity is 3. And then the original was increasing, this one is decreasing. So it is decreasing from negative infinity to infinity, continually decreasing. Alright, let's go to the 3C that we just did. Okay, our domain stayed the same, all real numbers. Our range is still from 0 to infinity, not including 0. No x-intercepts. Okay, our y-intercept did change from 0, 1 to 0, 1 half or 0.5. Asymptote stayed the same, it's still the x-axis. In behavior didn't change, it's still increasing, so I think the only thing that changed was the y-intercept. Let me write that a little bit better here. Okay. All right, now this is part 3. I am going to stop this and make a part 4 with starting with the application problems.